Hi, it's Heather from Woolly Elephant. Just a short video today, just to show a couple of the little things I've got going on. We've decided to cut back on our podcast a little bit. There's going to be a longer gap in between, and instead, me and Nicola and I have decided that we'll do some shorter ones instead, as we're both keen to have a go at doing some of the other crafts we like doing, as well as the knitting and sewing, and just see how it works for a while, because little Michael's got taster days at school, and we have Joseph with us, little baby Joseph with us now, so it makes it quite hard work. So just going to do short little videos of what we're going on. So I decided today, I thought I'd do a bit of my weaving. I haven't had my loom down for ages. I normally have it up on the shelves up here above my walls. I'd shoved it up, made a space for it up there, and since it went up there, it's not been back down. And I started a project on it quite some time ago, but because it's up there, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and I've been furiously knitting away. But lately I've been thinking about doing a couple of other bits and pieces, so I thought I'll get this back down and finish it, because this project I'm doing now is woven in a Christmas colourway I did on some double knit sparkly yarn that I got at a fair, and I want to get it finished because the original plan was to make it into a piece of fabric that Nikki could then cut up and turn into project bags. Well, that's still typically the plan, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes off the loom whether I feel like I want to keep it and use it for keep it and use it as a wrap, or whether it'll go, if I can bear to part with it, it'll go off and become bags if Nikki still wants to do that. So the whole things will be unique, because it'll be in yarn that I've dyed and then woven and then Nikki's sewn up. So anyway, I'll just give you a quick look at what I'm doing. Please ignore this background. This is our craft cum junkie room. It's just chaos in here. I'm wearing my V-neck boxy, in case you were wondering. I am going to knit this a little bit longer. So anyway, here we are. This was my Christmas cracker colourway that I did and put in the shop on merino nylon figurine weight yarn. Did sold quite a lot of this at Christmas, but I fancied doing it, and like I say, I'd picked up some double knitting sparkle yarn at a craft fair, which I wasn't sure whether I was going to stock, and I initially decided against it, because I do a 4-ply fingering weight, but I hadn't decided on whether to do the double knit, and this double knit doesn't sell as well in the shop. I decided against it, and I thought I'll use this to weave a project with what I'd done. I think I'd done about 4. Anyway, I decided to do the warp. I think that's the warp. This is the weft. Don't hold me to that. I'm a relatively newbie weaver, and I don't know all the proper terms. This is in my sparkle fingering weight yarn, undyed, which matches in perfectly with this. So I have, because I'm doing it really quite a long piece, I warped it on my warping board. I put my warping board at the end of my loom, and then just did it in a fashion on the warping board, and then pulled it off that and then wove it on, which I found a lot easier. I could do a much longer warp than trying to do it directly on the board and then transfer the entire thing onto here, which I've never done yet, but you can do. Ooh, we've gone out of focus. Don't know what's going on there. Hang on. See if we can pick us back up. There we go. So all I'm doing is, I'm not doing any fancy stitches. It's getting ready to wind on. I'm hitting the wall with my shuttle, as it's so long, and the camera is on a stand just here. I don't think I'm going to get that through, so no, I'm not. I'm just going to have to move it on. So you have to put that into kind of resting position. And I went upstairs before and I brought down, I have loads of old wrapping paper from when I used to have my craft shop. And now, always, because it was quite a cheap one, but I used to sell a lot of it. I used to sell it for like something like 10p a sheet. This now comes in as a stabiliser that I put in under the projects to separate each layer, and I've just got to a point where I need to put a bit more in to weave it in. Just loosen it off up that end. I just need to wind it on a bit. This paper just goes between the layers to keep it all evened out. I don't think it quite goes to the end, but it's almost there. Pull that tight, but I don't want to pull it too tight because I don't want to snap it. Okay, I'll put it back to where I was in the down position. This is a 24-inch rigid heddle loom. I got it originally, well, we bought it originally. My husband said he was looking for something to do. Just go straight through, pull it across. My husband wanted, I think it was an ulterior motive to get me one, because I thought at the time it was a bit of money I didn't want to spend, a bit expensive. So he bought it saying that he was going to have a go, something to keep him occupied, which obviously he learned how to warp it, and then showed me how to do that, and then basically that was that. It seemed to be mine from then on, which had been his plan all along. So I then thought, well, spent all that money on buying it, so the idea was to try and plan on making some pashminas type wraps or scarves that I could sell in our Etsy shop. So I was thinking about doing that again, just using different ones of my hand-dyed yarns, and basically just doing a plain weave, and then see how that goes. I'm not too worried about doing patterns, because I'm hoping to create the patterns, I mean raised patterns, textured patterns, and see how we go. Anyway, that's where I am with that. So do you do any weaving? If so, comment underneath, let me know. I'll just bring it back up. So I'm hoping to get a reasonable amount of that finished this afternoon. Now another thing, because Nikki's been doing a bit of cross stitch lately, before I was knitting, I was card making. I did that for like 8 years. Before I was doing that, I was cross stitcher. I did an awful lot of cross stitching. Still got quite a fair few cross stitch kits and works in progress. When my mum was ill, she finished a couple off for me because she became obsessed with cross stitch, because it was all she could do. She couldn't really do the knitting, and with the drugs that she was on, addled her brain a bit, and so she did a few of mine as hers ran out, and she couldn't afford to buy any more, not as many as she was anyway. So I was going through my stash the other day and I found this one. I originally did the Strawberry Fairy. I think that's up in the hall somewhere. In fact, I'll pause, I'll go and get it. No, cancel that, I can't find it. It's not on the wall, I thought it was. It must have been taken down when we were painting once, and it's not got put back up, so I'm going to have to dig that out, because I did the Strawberry Flower Fairy. These are the Cicely Mary Barker. Yeah, Cicely Mary Barker. I loved these when I used to cross stitch. I always loved working on the finer count. This one's 18 count Aida, and I love doing things that have got quite a bit of back stitch, because I know a lot of people don't like doing it, but I find it's what makes your picture appear when you're doing it, and I quite enjoy doing that. So I'm thinking I'm going to pick this up. Whether I'll stick with it or not, I don't know, but I used to cross stitch an awful lot. I'll get some more out in future little videos just to show. It's got some such pretty colours. This, I mean, I used to. I mean, I haven't started on this yet, but as soon as I used to get a kit, the first thing I did, as soon as I came home with kits from any show I'd been to, I used to get them all out and get them all ready, because they didn't all come pre-done like this. I think a lot of them might do these days, but I'm going back at least 10, 15 years, probably bought this. And they just come in a bundle, and then you had to try and sort them, and if you didn't have good light, it was a nightmare. So I used to do it all straight away. I said, so even if I'm not doing the kit now, when I do come to pick it up, it'll all be ready to go. So it was on, so I think everything's, I don't think I've started. Oh, tell a lie, look. I had put a couple of stitches in, that's good. That'll get me off to a start. I used to do that occasionally as well, just put a couple of stitches in the middle, so you were ready to go when you wanted to pick the kit up. So I might try that tonight. When I was at my mum's house just before we went away, she had a Hot Chanda Crafts channel on the telly, and a robin kit came up, and it said on it, when robins appear, loved ones are near. Now, I've believed that for a long time, or I like to believe that for a long time. And everywhere we go, we see robins. I have a very long, fondness for robins. They're my favourite bird, and I love to see them everywhere I go. So I ordered this kit, and it's got the 2 robins on. So that'll be one to do, because I just like that quote on it. So I'd like to have that up in the house. Always fancied doing us a coat of arms one time, over our family coat of arms, and putting, my husband's from Nottingham, so putting the oak tree on, the big like robin Sherwood Forest tree, putting robins on, and a ball of wool and a camera. Maybe I'll do it one day, design my own and have our own Birkin coat of arms. I've been to the lakes today, to the Knitting and Stitching Show 2019 in Reghead. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, in the Lake District. There was only 40, it said 40 vendors, but it's such a nice little show. And my husband saw, there was this guy demonstrating marbling on paper and tiles, and that looked fabulous, and he was well taken with that. After all the demonstrations, he bought himself that because he fancies, I've never known him to want to do a craft, but that he took to that straight away, like the idea of that, so I've bought that. So we'll see what it can produce from that, because he showed it marbling on fabric and used in quilting and all sorts, and it was great. And then I got, I wasn't tempted by any wool, because I've got quite a lot of wool myself at the moment. But I invested in a new Swift. I'll just turn the camera around because it's fastened to the table, and you can have a look. So there you go, that's my new yarn Swift. Makes the other one look like a bit dropped off. I did buy myself the larger one because I was thinking about winding some slightly longer skeins for if I want to do 2 colours on one skein. It might give a slightly wider stripy effect. That's my dad in the background, and the order of service from my friend Jean. These were favours off the tables at Nikki's wedding. Please ignore all the mess in the background, as like I said, it's just chaos room. There's all sorts of stuff that needs sorting out. Everything we don't know where to put just gets dumped in here, but I work in here and Nick works in here. That's one of my former cross stitch there, a cheetah and its cub. I'll show that one on another episode a bit closer up. Needs a wash. So there you go. Just a little quick excerpt of what I'm doing lately, what I've got going on. So until next time, bye.